approved by both the Albany County Department of Health and by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We are doing stormwater storage on it to the level required by the city, which means that at the 100-year storm, the amount of drainage that comes off this site is less than a 10-year storm in a totally undeveloped area, so that it's a significant reduction in the amount of stormwater. Next. This is the floor plan of the building. This is the ground floor plan entering from the parking lot. This is, and we have units on there and some common area. Next is the first floor plan. And it looks like that, but this is entered from the front, the North Pearl Street side on the left-hand side of our drawing. That's where the entrance is to the first floor. And the upper floors are the second floor and third floor are identical. I don't have one of that, but again, they are identical. And if Zach can put up the next slide, this shows what the building looks like. This is looking in from the Wilson Street side. You're standing by the federal building now, looking in, and that's our new building, and that's the existing building on the left. And what's rendered in there is the 4-foot-high decorative fence. And I don't think the shrubs are rendered in there, but that's pretty much what the building will look like looking in from the Wilson Street side. And the next view is from the North Pearl Street. The existing building on the left is how it exists now, and our proposed buildings on the right. You can see how the height is very much the same. The windows are very much the same as is the roof coping. Next. This is a rendered view from the corner of Wilson Street and North Pearl Street. Colors are a little different. Different tools have different colors on them. I think I would rely, the final color would probably be something between what we showed on the other elevation views and this, because the elevation views extended the blue colors much more than they'd probably be on the final view. And I think that's it. I'm available to answer any questions which the board may have.
Okay, thank you very much. I just have one question, which is whether there is an entrance on the parking lot side of the building.
Yes, there's an entrance on the parking lot side. That enters the ground floor. And there's an entrance on the North Pearl Street side. That's the one that's seen here. Yes, there's two entrances to the building.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Zach, was there anything that you were going to add to this discussion?
Yeah, I just had one quick slide. So Dan mentioned this a little bit, but just going back a little bit, these are just the principal changes from the 2016 application that was submitted, and the current application right now. The lot coverage is decreased by approximately 9%. The footprint is decreased by a little over half, from 7,200 square feet to 3,030 square feet. And similarly, the total size of the building has reduced by over 50% as well. It was brought closer to the front lot lines. The maximum height of the building has increased a little bit on North Pearl Street by 2 feet and by 7 feet on Wilson Street. And this better reflects the current heights of neighboring buildings. If you go back to the elevation, showing how this is aligning with the neighboring properties on the eastern side of North Pearl Street. Parking is shifted from an internal parking garage with 15 spaces to a surface lot with 9 spaces. And the total number of dwelling units has decreased from 18 to 11 units. So since there was a seeker review completed for the previous iteration of this project in 2016, and the current proposal in many ways is decreasing potential environmental impacts, our department drafted up a technical memo showing how the findings from the original seeker determination are still correct, which essentially means that the anticipated environmental impacts that were assessed and reviewed in 2016 still apply to this proposed project. And in many ways, the impacts have decreased since the size of the building and number of parking spaces have decreased as well. So I provided this to the board, and this was posted with the other project files for this application. So I'm happy to answer any other questions on this. I think if there's any concerns or questions on this, this could be a good moment to have the planning board declare lead agency if the board members don't find that the original seeker findings still apply and believe that there are significant environmental impacts based on this change. But from looking at the change in intensity and bulk of the building, this in many ways is decreasing, environmental impacts for the entire project.
I think I tend to agree with you. I mean, it's an attractive building. It really adds to the streetscape, and it has lower impacts because it's a smaller building than the previous building that did pass through seeker. So I'm tending to agree with you there. Are there any deadline issues in terms of the seeker? In terms of the administrative aspects of seeker that would?
Well, we will need a seeker determination to have the HRC act on our certificate of appropriateness. If the old one holds, maybe we're okay.
Yeah, so Dan, with the technical memo, this is essentially saying that the previous seeker findings still hold, and so that the Historic Resources Commission could act under that previous seeker determination, as well as the planning board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris, do you have any thoughts or comments?
I'm okay with advancing.
Okay. Okay. Good. And so am I. If that decision can be made by Chris and I, then I think we are fine with it.
And that doesn't necessarily require a formal decision.
Okay.
If we want to circle back to this once there is quorum, if the board does feel like they would like to make that a formal decision, I think that's good. But being that there's not quorum right now, I think it'd probably be better not to make a formal decision.
Okay.
In that absence.
Okay. Were there any public comments? Anyone who wanted to speak on this issue, this project?
No one has signed up to speak at this time. I'll give it a few seconds in case someone was waiting or was having difficulty in signing up, which I'm not seeing at the moment.
Okay. So then I guess we're done with this one then for now, correct?
Yeah, this was a concept review. So the applicant's working on addressing city department comments right now. So that'll be coming back to the board once it's the project's either received city department approvals or is close to receiving all city department approvals. Okay.
Okay, good. Unfortunately, we don't have a quorum still. Do we have a procedure if this happens? Would we, I'm obviously happy to wait longer, but I don't know if we want everyone to stay in line for too long.
I know that Glenisa said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said thank you, Dan, for your presentation. Well, looking forward to see you on again on this one.
Thank you.
So I interrupted you, Zach. Excuse me. What were you about to say?
No. I think in this instance, there are other applicants that are waiting, and we're anticipating on the board acting tonight. So I think we can stay on the line, in the interest of not making those individuals wait for a later date.
Okay.
For the meeting. I can maybe go over some of the updates for 42 and 47 Besh Avenue. And, if the applicant would like to present on that, I think they could. Again, they were anticipating that the board would make would take a vote to declare themselves lead agency for seeker. So they are waiting on that. And then the applicants for 832 Manning Boulevard were also anticipating action for seeker and for major subdivision review, as well as development plan review.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think maybe the best way to approach this is just to continue with 42 and 47 Besh Avenue.
With the presentation. Okay, I agree.
Okay. Does that work for you as well, Chris?
I'm good with it.
Okay. So just to provide the board and members of the public a little bit of background, when this was initially noticed for this meeting, it was initially paired with an application for 22 Holland Avenue. Today we received an email from the property owner stating that they were withdrawing their approval to have the applicants for 22 Holland Avenue submit their application. The applicants for 22 Holland Avenue were initially planning on leasing the portion of the site and were not the property owners. So since those applicants have withdrawn their application, that now removes 22 Holland Avenue project, which was the proposed fast food restaurant. That removes the need for that to be reviewed simultaneously with the proposed application at 42 and 47 Besh Avenue, which had some proposed subsurface detention tanks on 22 Holland Avenue. So that removes the need for that. However, since the applicant for 42 and 47 Besh Avenue is applying for a sewer extension based on the fact that they are anticipating over 2,500 gallons per day of water and sewer usage, this will still need to have a coordinated review, and lead agency declaration letters would be sent out to the Albany County Department of Health and New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, since they are the two entities along with the water department that review applications for sewer extensions. And when sewer extensions are submitted, it's the water department submitting that on behalf of the applicant appearing here tonight. The applicant had also submitted some updated renderings and floor plans as well, which I have put in the slides here as well. Again, since this was originally noticed just for seeker declaration, this usually doesn't require such a long presentation or usually involve public comment. However, since the applicant is proposing updates and showing new materials, I would encourage members of the board to allow for public comments, just to increase the number of opportunities that people can comment on the application. And this will help inform the applicant as they're making edits and modifications, so that it's taking into account comments from members of the public earlier on in the process. So it's not the applicant finding out about the information, at the last or a very late meeting in the review process. So with that said, the representatives for the application are here tonight. I am going to promote them as panelists, and they can begin their discussion. And if you bear with me just 1 second, I'll promote them to panelists right now. Okay. Unless the board has any other questions about the whole update.
No. But they have a presentation, correct? The applicants, yeah, okay.
So Ron and Sarah, you should be able to unmute yourselves. I think those were the only team members that I saw that were at the meeting tonight, but let me know if I need to elevate anyone else to be a panelist.
No,
Hey, Zach, do you see Mike Dussault on the call?
Yes. Yep.
Can you unmute him? He's our civil engineer.
Yep. I'm going to just promote him to a panelist.
and then if I could just start out for a minute, when everybody's ready.
Yep. You'll have 10 minutes. So just
All right, I'll keep it quick.
whenever you're ready.
This is Ron Stein. I'm willing to wait all night for the quorum because I really have put a lot of energy and effort, the whole team has, into getting this ready. A lot of the effort this week was because we were somehow coupled, and we've had discussions with this Popeyes project, which I never understood and still don't agree why we ever were coupled with it. It's a complete separate project and non-same owners anymore. And, and that's taken a lot of effort to get that here. I was hoping for not just seeker lead agency tonight, but I was also hoping to get conditional site plan approval so I could start some of the site work.
And Ron, I'm just going to pause you there. We just had another board member join. So I'm just going to officially note the start of the meeting as 6:34 p.m. And Glennie, sir, are you all set?
I am all set, and my apologies for being late.
No worries.
Yep.
Glad you're here.
Accept it.
Ron, feel free to start up again whenever you're ready.
Well, just that, just to start again, we never understood and never agreed to ever be coupled with Popeyes. And that has kind of, seemed to have slowed us down. We've done a lot of work to uncouple ourselves, including getting them off of the project to stop. And because they didn't know they were getting in our way. We're really trying to move this project along because there's some timing issues, and we're hoping to get some kind of conditional approval because we even waited and got all the information to you, Zach, and all the different departments, and we've been addressing all the needs of. We already went to 2 different Dana Avenue meetings with the neighborhoods and been addressing all those issues along the way. So we feel like we've addressed all the issues that are known at the point, and really are ready to get moving. So anything we can do to get this project up and start any kind of even site work would be very appreciated because we're losing money every time we delay. And again, this last one was, and I'm glad we worked together with you, Zach, and everybody else to get to a conclusion that seems to be happy for everybody right now, including the neighborhood association, I'm sure. So Popeyes is now not a project. We're here. And we've made a lot of adjustments and talked to a lot of departments. So anything else we need to do, please let us know. And then I'll let Michael and Sarah and Mike Dussault take over from there. Sarah?
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Sarah Mayu. I'm with Michael Roman, principal of C2, and Mike Dussault, who is our civil engineer for the project. We're here on behalf of Ron to present the reserve on Hackett. And as you can see on the screen now that Zach had pulled up with the rendering, this is a view from Hackett. We made some adjustments based on comments we received from the last meeting, as well as some of the department comments. Here you'll see, kept a lot of the vegetation around the site that's currently there, as well as adding some more to kind of create a barrier between some of the residential houses around us, so we're not impeding on their views. And you'll see that in the middle between the two garage doors to the parking garage, we created a public civic space, which you'll see in another rendering of a close-up, kind of the idea we were looking to do for that. Can you go to the next one, Zach? So this is a view from the other direction on Hackett. This is showing next to Crown Terrace, keeping a lot of the tall trees along our property line there, as well as creating a fence to kind of screen our building from the adjacent buildings next to us. And you can see there, a lot of windows for natural light, and kind of create a similar look with the residential feel of brick and the overhead doors. Can you go to the next one? This is a view from Besh up at the top of the hill behind us. We're proposing to keep a lot of the vegetation up there as well, and create a fence along our property line there to kind of screen our building from the top of the hill. So again, doesn't impede any of the visual effects from the residents above us there. As you can see, you can't really see our building through much of the vegetation that's there. And that is our goal. We're using that as our screen to keep it with the natural habitat, and not just adding a block wall or anything that kind of isn't visually pleasing. If you go to the next one. So here is a close-up of the civic space we're proposing between the two garage doors. Proposing a lot of vegetation, some seating areas, a pathway meandering through, as well as some bollard lights to light the pathway for pedestrians. Really give it an open feel. It's inviting for people to come sit and use the space. And we added some trees there as well to create some a visibility block. So it really feels as part of the building, but it also gives it that natural habitat feel as the rest of the site does, carrying some of those trees and shrubbery in. If you go to the next one. This is an aerial view of that civic space, just showing you what we're proposing for the path meandering through, connecting side to side, some grass in the front with some trees along Hackett. Those bollard lights follow the path as well. And you can see some of the benches on both sides of the path, creating different spaces for people to sit and use. If you go to the next one. So this is our updated ground floor plan. We've adjusted to include some bike racking inside for the residents to use. I know in past projects with Ron, we have a lot of residents that do bike, being so close to everything. So we're proposing putting some covered bike parking there. We also adjusted the parking a little bit to create a more friendly path driving through. It was tight a little bit before, so we kind of adjusted the aisleways to fit 2 cars in. You go to the next one. This is our proposed apartment layout plan for the 39 units to include 1 bedrooms and a couple 2 bedrooms, laundry facilities in each unit, eating kitchens, living areas, 1 bath, and some balconies throughout on the 4th floor. If you go to the next one, not B1. So this is the roof plan. This is a comment we received from the city, just showing our roof terrace up on the top, which you don't really see when you look at the renderings. You can't really see the roof terrace from the street level. And this is just showing a proposed layout for the mechanicals on the roof. They're really small in that respect, so you can't see them from Besh or from the street. And this is, we're putting them inbound too, so you're not right on the exterior of the building, to give it a little bit more screened from from the streets on both sides. You go to the next one.
I think that was it from the materials that you had submitted, Sarah.
Yep, I think so. So if anyone has any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Oh, do we need to go over the water again, or we did that last meeting?
There hasn't been any changes to the site that was previously submitted, points of entry as far as the vehiculars go, pedestrian, the water that's being done on the adjacent property is all the same. All the information has been submitted to the city or to the engineering department, as well as the geotech report that has been done for this project, including the survey that's been completed. But if you do have anything pertaining to civil, Mike Dussault from Engineering Ventures can respond to any questions that you may have.
And on the geotech, we did borings all the way 50 feet down inside. So we made sure that we can address the issues that were concerns about the depth and the stability of the retaining wall. We paid a lot for that, a lot of boring holes. Look like Oak Island there. And then we also have the sidewalks continuing up front, like we had talked about, all the way to Holland and back over to Crown as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Zach, any more to add in terms of
So
where
we
the
got
city stands?
So the application's being reviewed by departments. We're anticipating to get all departments comments by tomorrow. We just got some additional comments from the fire department today that are relatively minor. We did receive these floor plans and renderings and the geotech report and the updated survey. We're still anticipating an updated site plan to address some of the comments and reflect what was being shown with the proposed passive recreational space in the front yard area of the building, along with providing the required landscaping on the side lot line with the properties on Crown Terrace. So we'll be looking for that in the upcoming couple of days. And again, just as a reminder, this application will be sent out to the county's Department of Health and DEC for the sewer extension. And so over the next month, they will have the opportunity to provide comments to our department so that we can take those into consideration and present those to the board members as you are making your determination for seeker at an upcoming meeting.
Right, and those approvals are necessary, right, for the project to move forward.
Yeah, that's since the project is anticipated to have or to utilize more than 2,500 gallons per day. That requires a sewer extension, and so with the sewer extension, the water department submits an application on behalf of the applicant to the county's Department of Health as well as DEC, who review and then provide comments and work with the water department and then the project applicant to address all concerns.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Any questions from the board? Questions or comments?
No questions for me, Martin.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I do have a question, Martin, and they're just more of my own little questions. So in looking at the renderings, there's a little park there. Is that park open to the public, or is it just for the people who are tenants of the building?
I think the initial plan, this is Ron, is to have that open to the public.
Okay.
If something, and what I do want to just state, if something happens where it's getting abused or there's issues, then we may change that for safety and or for costs, but our plan is to make that a nice space for people to use.
Okay. And my last question is regarding pets. It will be open for pets as well, or will you have
Always,
parking?
always pets in all my buildings, and especially dogs.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll have an area in the back that's treated, that we make a little like dog area.
Oh, okay,
It'll be fenced in, and we do that at the end, and we treat that, and so that there's not smell and dog poop in the neighborhood.
cool. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So Zach, was anyone signed up to speak to this
Yeah, and just one quick,
project?
one quick
Oh,
note,
okay.
Ron, and to the project team, I would just encourage you to, when you submit the next site plan, just to include pavement markings and sidewalk connections to the outdoor recreational space, just so that it's, promoting safe connections for pedestrians and preventing conflicts with vehicles when they're entering and leaving the garage as well. This will be pretty simple things to add, but it would be a good improvement just to make sure it's not creating a dangerous situation moving forward.
I'll have that updated and sent to you probably by the end of the day tomorrow.
Perfect. So for public speakers, we have 2 people signed up right now. And I'm just gonna pull them from the list. If there's anyone else who's attending that would like to speak, feel free to send chat messages to me at this time. But I'm gonna first pull up Brian Pentecost. So bear with me just 1 second while I do that.
Okay, I'm
Sorry about that. Yep. So you have 3 minutes, and with the timer on this, there'll be a audible beep and a change in color when you have 30 seconds left, and it'll beep 3 times when your time has expired. And feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so there was a comment about the neighborhood association. I know there have been a couple of presentations to the neighborhood association, but I don't know that the neighborhood association has ever been particularly positive. I mean, it's been informed. I would agree with that. Looking at the building, I'm seeing what might be side windows that might overlook One Crown Terrace. Looking at the plans that you were just presenting, less so for me at 3 Crown Terrace. So generally the height is still an issue for me. You'll notice that in the picture, there's like a cream upper level. And really, I have pictures of going back to towards the hospital, south campus of AMC. The heights are really kind of like 1 story less than what's being proposed, and it's like the cream layer is an extra layer. So the reason that I might focus on height is because I still wonder what's going to happen with the garage getting drowned every couple of years, and somebody suddenly deciding the whole thing has to be lifted by like 6 feet. So that was making that point. The civic space, I'm not sure whether or not does this meet the requirements of recreational space in this building. It's not as low as though there are other facilities owned by Mr. Stein or associated with him that are in this area that might have like exercise space and such. And finally, looking out back where you're talking about the dog run, that's going to be a concrete canyon. I mean, the folks, all the pictures are, the renderings are look from the front, but the look from the back for anybody who lives there, they're going to be staring at, on several layers, at the retaining wall. Okay, those would be my points for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm just pulling up the next speaker from the list. Bear with me just one sec. Ms. Morris, are you there? Ms. Morris, are you there? Did you say yes? Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Ms. Morris, you signed up to speak. Are you ready to speak on 42 and 47 Besh Avenue?
Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
I've lost sound.
Oh, okay. We can hear you. I'm not sure if okay.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, you can. Okay, thank you. I wanted to reiterate what Brian said, is that the neighborhood association has not taken any stand on this. We are very appreciative of the time that Mr. Stein has spent, talking to us, hearing our concerns in that, but there is no position on this taken by the board of the neighborhood association. I have probably a question that you may not be able to answer tonight, but it seems to me that the number of apartments has increased. I think the original application said 36 apartments, and now it appears that there are 39. Did I hear that correctly? Unfortunately, I don't have any sound, so I'm kind of speaking into a vacuum here. So I thank you for your time, and we'll move on. Thanks.
Thank you. And is that everyone, Zach?
Yeah, and the number of units did increase. I will try and send that to Ms. Morris via chat. And we got related to Mr. Pentecost's question, the required amount of recreational space is 10% of the site area. Since we have not received an updated site plan, we can't confirm that yet, but we might be able to have the applicant respond to that.
I was about to ask.
Going forward, Councilmember Fahey just asked a question in the chat, saying at a previous meeting, the application for Popeyes at 22 Holland Avenue and the proposed 42 and 47 Besh Avenue apartments about sharing a driveway. Is this still the plan? So since the 22 Holland Avenue project has been withdrawn, and the applicant for 42 and 47 Besh Avenue is proposing to install 2 new driveways, they wouldn't be sharing this. As part of any applications that include parking or parking garages, applicants are required to demonstrate that they have requested to access from neighboring properties using their existing curb cuts or driveways. Mr. Stein has verbally stated that the owner of 22 Holland Avenue did not agree to that, but we will need that in writing moving forward, just to have that for the record. And we did get some additional comments from members of the public. To those people, I would say to Ms. Freeman, if you would like to sign up to speak, to ask those questions, I'd recommend you do that. Otherwise, those questions can be sent to the board members as a written comment going forward.
Okay, so I thought we should give Mr. Stein an opportunity to rebut or to respond. And
yes.
I just wanted to add that we have also licensed 7 spots in that adjacent parking lot as visitor parking, so an off-street parking. So that way there won't be any traffic issues. So anybody visiting or deliveries, they would go and use the 7 visitor spots in the adjacent driveway.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions from the board, from board members? Okay, thank you. I think I had one additional question, which was whether or not the number of units has changed. Has any other major changes happened that that might not have been clear in the presentation?
We were, I believe we were at 39 for the last meeting. It changed from the very first meeting.
Okay.
For the last meeting, we were at 39 too.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so in all dimensions, height and footprint and all that sort of thing's the same.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Zach. So I think that is it for comments and questions and that sort of thing.
Yep.
I think at this point, I think I would have difficulty in giving a conditional approval, given the the importance of the weight of the approvals that we have to get from the DEC and from the County Board of Health. And we also need that fresh site plan. I mean, I'm very happy to declare lead agency, but I think we need to get all the facts on the table and think this thing 100% through before we can give any approvals.
Is there any way we can, help to speed up or do anything in our path to make sure we have it for the next meeting? So we can get full approval for next meeting, so we can.
Okay. Zach, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Ron, I would encourage you, and you've already been doing this, of just working with the water department and working with the county's Department of Health and DC on this. In some ways this is a little bit out of our hands because the Department of Health had 2 staff members retire. So they're a little short-staffed on their end. And from our understanding with the water department, there has been a little bit more of a stringent review for all water and sewer extensions applications when being reviewed by the county's Department of Health and DEC. So, I think as we recommend for all of our applicants, providing the most complete and updated materials as quickly as possible is always going to help, and making sure that you're providing as complete of answers is always good. We look forward to seeing the updated application materials, and again, we'll try and get comments as quickly as possible back to you, so that if you need to make any additional updates based on city department comments, you can do that. But I would just encourage you to.
We're pretty quick with those, and we've been including neighborhood comments as well. We, as best as we can, and Mike DeSalt's on the line, and he's going to go ahead and contact the agencies as well and see if he can't work with them directly.
Yeah, we've been in contact with Neil at the water department, so
I think we need to get it with the other agencies.
Yeah, Neil will recommend it. He forwards it to the Albany County Department of Health and the DEC. He needs to do that for us. But we're still waiting comments from the water department. We do have planning comments and engineering department comments. So I think those are due back to us tomorrow, I think Zach said.
And then we'll follow up and have another meeting with water and make sure they send them. Okay, with Neil. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Mike.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So in that case, I think we have one action to take care of, which is declaring lead agency. So do I have a motion?
I'll move that. And I'll second.
Okay, very good. That was Chris moved and Glenisa seconded. Everyone in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, nays? I think it passes unanimously.
Martin, can you just record your vote?
Oh, sure. Aye, rather, sorry.
See, oh man.
What was that? I'm new at this, Chris. Okay, so it passes, and thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll also move into the public hearing phase of the meeting, the public hearing agenda. And the one project that we'll look at in this phase is project 390, which is 832 Manning Boulevard. The applicant is Habitat for Humanity, and it's being represented by Fred Dargusta. Did I get that even close to right? From Habitat for Humanity.
Dargis. And bear with me just one second. I'm just progressing back to the public hearing agenda. Glenisa, since you were not here when the applicant for 191 North Pearl Street presented, did you have any questions on that application or any comments that you'd like to pass along to the applicant?
Yeah, not at this moment.
Okay. All right. And I'm just gonna get the applicants and elevate them to panelists. So bear with me just one second. Okay, Dan and Fred, I think you should be able to unmute yourselves. And as again, yeah, as again with the other applications, you'll have 10 minutes to present.
Okay. Fred, do you want me to start off?
Sure.
Yeah. The application is to build 6 single-family homes on the site. We prepared land subdivision and a major development plan review. And if you go to the next site, next project, the next photo, this is a photo of the existing space and on Henning Boulevard. It has been graded previously. It previously had buildings on it which were demolished, and it's been graded so that it's ready for new development. And we're here to propose that. Next. This is the site plan. There will be 6 separate lots. The 2 lots on the end are a little bigger because they also house some dumpsters, which were actually preceded our plan to have them there. So those will be set there, and the dividing lines for the lots on the two side-by-side buildings goes through the center of a party wall, and then there's a side yard on all the units. They all have access to the side yard. The side yard will drop down so that it's one more story at the rear than at the front. The natural grading of the site goes all the way to the back. The lowest point of the site is at the center the right-hand side at the rear of this project is the lowest point of the site. Next. These are a little small, but what they show is that the pervious area on the entire site is about 67%, and every site has significant pervious area on it. Obviously, the buildings don't take very much of the site. So I think from the site to statistics standpoint, we're in pretty good shape. We prepared each lot separately because technically, when you have a subdivision, each lot in a subdivision should meet that requirement, and they do. Next. These are the front and rear elevations. Like I said, you see one more story at the back than at the front, and there's an exit to the rear and also an exit from the deck on the side to the rear. There's steps down and there's an exit out from the lower level of the building. And next, I think we have one more. We have the side elevations. This shows how they look. And again, that shows the drop going down the side of the building and how it's exposed more at the rear than at the front, so that a full story difference takes place. And the first floor is up 3 or 4 steps from Manning Boulevard. And I think I have one more. These are the floor plans. They're the first floor plan and the second floor plan. These are single family dwellings. There's no garage on them. Parking would take place on the street. The plans end up with a very nice sized total apartment space. Next. I think there may be one more. Oh, this is your staff comments. Okay. I'm done, but I can answer any questions which the board may have about anything that we presented.
Okay, I just have a quick one. What is the downstairs space used, the half floor? What would that be used for?
That would just be for utility space. Eventually it can be finished if the homeowner decides that they'd like to do that for recreation. But at the end of the day, it's really just access to the yard.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions from the board at this point? Okay, Zach.
No questions from me, Martin.
Okay, thank you. So Zach, why don't you go ahead with the staff comments then?
Yeah, and before I do, and this will
sure.
be discussed a little bit with the staff comments as well. Dan, can you just provide an update on where the MPT or maintenance and protection of traffic plan is right now with Bill?
Yeah, I had a discussion with him this afternoon. He said he was going to email you a memo that he wants to make some changes. He wants to make it a less of relocation of pedestrian traffic, since he thinks we can handle it with temporary closures where each night they put a plate over the top of the trench. They're only 4-foot wide trenches. So our maintenance protection traffic plan becomes much less complicated than one we showed. I told Bill we'd get it to him shortly. I didn't have a chance to get him between my 2 o'clock discussion with him in our meeting tonight, but it's clear that what we have to do there, and I think Bill is all satisfied with the final plan.
Okay, good.
And so just for the board's reference, and I think for members of the public too, the submitted maintenance and protection of traffic plan, I believe, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but during the utility improvements being made, I think it shifts the pedestrian traffic into the street instead of using the existing sidewalk that's along Manning Boulevard. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And again, because it's going to be so temporary, I mean, originally we were going to have 2 trenches for each building to go all the way across the street. That would have been 12 trenches. We designed the utilities, so we only need 3. And 2 are together and 1's by itself. So again, those can be done very quickly, so we won't have to delay either pedestrian traffic or vehicle traffic overnight. They will be all restored at the end of each working day, so the area will be fully accessible.
Great, thanks for the clarification on that. So I'm now going to shift into staff comments. As I think I mentioned during the December workshop, and I think Brad might have mentioned this when he was filling in for me at the December meeting. The board doesn't see a lot of major subdivision review cases, so I'll take a little bit more time with these review criteria, but a lot of them align with the major development plan review criteria. But feel free to stop me if you have any questions as I go through these. There are 4 that the board can use to determine whether or not to approve a major subdivision. The first being that all new lots created meet the dimensional standards for that district. So these properties are located in the mixed-use community urban zoning district, and the dimensional requirements for that district relate to the minimum lot width of 20 feet and the maximum impervious lot coverage being 90%. And from this, all the proposed lots are at least 36 feet in width and have a minimum pervious lot coverage of 62.4%. So they go above and beyond meeting the dimensional standards for the district. Second one, which is a review criteria used for major development plan review as well, is that the project is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And this aligns with strategy land use 1, because the proposed subdivision is accommodating and supporting the residential use of the area. And as you can see with my mouse, this is located in a yellow area, and that's identified as a neighborhood use. So the proposed residential townhouse uses align with the land use framework map. The third review criteria is whether it's consistent with the provisions of the USDO and the city code, which the subdivision is, and whether there are any previous requirements or conditions of approval that apply to the property, which there are not. And now I'm going to, sorry about that. Are there any questions before I shift into the major development plan review standards? Okay, hearing none, I'll go into those real quickly. So again, the first review criteria is impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. This being a proposed townhouse use, it's a relatively low intensity use. And the applicants provided information and supporting information to show that the construction will not result in significant adverse impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. And the applicant is working with the Division of Traffic Engineering to address any potential concerns related to this. So therefore, it's not going to create a significant adverse impact. Similarly, whether it'll create risks to the public health or safety. The project has received approvals from the Division of Engineering, Fire and Fire Safety, Planning and Development, and the Water and Water Supply. And the applicant's working to address comments from traffic engineering for pedestrian and vehicular safety. Whether this needs to comply, whether the project needs to comply with any prior approvals or conditions. There are not any prior approvals or conditions that would relate to the proposed project. Again, discussing how this aligns with the comprehensive plans strategy LU1. The project complies with all relevant provisions of the USDO and the city code. And again, there are not any prior requirements related to the project or to any prior development permits that the property needs to comply with. And so with that, as part of the memo, I recommended condition that the applicant needs to receive approval from the Division of Traffic Engineering to cover the proposed modifications to the maintenance of protection of traffic plan. And there might be additional application materials that the applicant may be required to submit as part of this, relating to signage or an updated site plan, sheet. So this is just kind of encompassing a wide range of potential comments that we might receive from the Division of Traffic Engineering. But again, as Dan had mentioned, and from correspondence I received from Bill Trudeau, it's relatively limited to the maintenance and protection of traffic plan.
Okay, well, I'm certainly open to that, given that it's just one smaller issue related to an approval from the city, and that you've been in communication with Bill as well as with Dan. Thank you. I certainly am open to that. Is any thoughts from other members of the board? Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Thank you. Should we just go down through the actions then, Zach?
Yeah, and just to confirm, there are no people that have signed up to speak on this
Oh, okay.
application.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, good. Well, the first recommended action is a negative declaration for SECRA. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And seconded? Okay. Can I do that, or?
Yeah, you can second a motion.
Okay, I'll second it. Moved by Glenisa Giard and seconded by Martin Hall. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Anyone opposed, say nay. The motion passes unanimously. And let's see, now we'll move on. There are two recommended actions, Zach. One, major subdivision approval, and then the other is the actual project approval. Okay, so the next one is a major subdivision approval. Do I hear a motion to support approval?
So move.
Second.
Okay, moved by Chris Ellis and seconded by Glenisa Giard. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those say nay, opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. And finally, the final recommended action, if there's no additional comments on approving with the condition, the one condition, I'll accept a motion for approval.
So move.
And I'll second that one. So
And Martin, can you just read the condition out just for the record?
Sure. Let's see now. Approve with the condition that the applicant must receive approval from the Division of Traffic Engineering. Thank you. So let's see now. So I think we already had our motions and seconds. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
So that is the finish of the end of the business of the board tonight, correct, Zach? Is there any other announcements or anything?
I guess just to circle back for 191 North Pearl Street, Glenisa, I had explained to Chris and Martin that there was a seeker technical memo, which essentially details how the previous version of the project had received a negative declaration through seeker, and through a comparative review of the previous project and the current project, the findings from the original seeker determination are still correct, because the proposed changes to the project actually reduce the environmental impacts of the project overall. And so with this technical memo, it just is an addendum to the original seeker determination, and therefore it doesn't necessitate further seeker review for this current version of the project. So I think there was just some questions on whether the board wanted to formally endorse this or not. I don't think it necessarily has to be formally endorsed, but I just wanted to make you aware. And just since that was during a portion of the meeting that didn't have quorum, I just wanted to make sure that if you had any questions or issues with that, that you could raise them now. If there were issues, This would allow for an opportunity to start a new seeker process if you felt that was necessary.
Got it. Thank you.
Zach, you talked a little bit about formalizing our decision. Do you feel that's necessary at this point, or?
I'll leave that to the board. You know, it's in the project record, so it's there. If you would like to formally endorse the findings from the technical memo, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it's a requirement.
Okay. Does anyone else have an opinion on that? Whether we should vote on accepting the old seeker approval application? Okay. So I guess I would say it's probably a bit better to memorialize it. So why don't I ask for a motion to accept the original seeker designation for this property?
So move.
And I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. No nays. It passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Did anyone?
that's the end.
Yeah. Did anyone have any announcements or questions they had to raise?
No, not me. So how about a motion to
Congrats,
adjourn?
Martin, on a well-run meeting.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, Martin.
And thank you, Ganisa and Zach. It was fun. My first one from start to finish. So yeah, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ayes have it. The ayes have it, I am sure.
Ayes have it. Hey.
That's the Canadian way of doing it. Yeah. Take care. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Everybody take care.